Alright, so we're doing the GlowShift gauges in the dash that I did a video on that I built. We're doing all three. So we got the water temp, we have the voltage, and we're supposed to have the oil pressure gauge. So here's a couple things here. I'll show you on this. This is the water temp gauge, and I don't know if I'm doing it wrong, but there's the threads are flat, but these pegs are all the way against this. So this gauge with this will work without the visor, I mean that's called, which I got to run these visors. So it looks like, I mean, I can unscrew this, some of the threads, I guess it'll make it all kind of loose, but or I'll end up just trimming. That's what I'm probably going to do, is trim. Have to cut this to where, you know, allows the, that's how it mounts, so it can be clamped. So that's not a big deal. What is a big deal is this one. You can clearly see the part number, GS T704. That is the oil pressure gauge. So my first sign of an issue was when I opened it. You can obviously see there's instructions, boost gauge. Actually, I wasn't gonna do all this, but I'll turn the light on so you can see. I was like, what is this? It has the port for the oil. Two things. One, I would never in my life order that, because the hoses, they're terrible. I only run the for the oil, I would only run not the digital. Well, with the sensor, I would never do the hose. But that's clearly the boost gauge inside. This is supposed to be the oil pressure gauge. The boost gauge is almost $50, 40 something dollars. The oil gauge is 80 something or 90 something dollars. So where I'm warning you guys is some trash bag POS I ordered all these from Amazon, which GlowShift has a storefront. From now on, I will never order their stuff from Amazon. I will order it directly from them. Hopefully it gets sent from them, because obviously somebody on Amazon had the boost gauge and ordered this oil gauge, and they put all the boost stuff inside. It's not used. It even has a protective film on there, and they basically swapped it out. So basically they got the oil gauge for half the cost. But the problem is the way they did it, which is they're thieves. The biggest POSs there is. Amazon resold it. So these all I got almost next day. So one day. This is the only one that was a 2-day, which is not a big deal unless you deal with customers, people that are impatient, all that fun stuff. So of course the one I have to wait the longest is the fraud. So I did a return. Now I'm just praying the next one comes with the correct gauge. I did contact GlowShift, because there's two scenarios. Either GlowShift put the wrong one in the wrong box, very unlikely, or a customer swapped them, put the half price boost gauge stuff in it, and got the oil, which you know how people are. This is why we have so many extra laws and rules, because people. But yeah, just a heads up, on Amazon they're doing product swaps. But we'll get to the install. It's gonna be a little tricky because I pre-wired the dash pad I was doing on that. So these ones I'm gonna have to modify a little bit, because the way they have them, like especially the oil gauge, has a plug that plugs from the gauge, and it's a 2-pin 2-wire that goes down to the sensor. Well, I'm going to have to modify that because I need the gauge to go to my wire harness on my dash pad, and then from the dash pad to the sensor. So it's not a big deal. I'll be showing most of that, the install on them. So I already have the tack, so it'll be a GlowShift setup from the GlowShift, the tack, temperature sensor, voltmeter, oil pressure. I don't need a boost gauge yet. It'd be nice to get a supercharger or turbo, but the wagon really don't need it. So there it is there, and there's your warning on that. Other than that, I do have these two in the car now, and they work great. They look cool. I like them. So it'll be interesting to see how this one does. This is the first part. Second part, we'll be installing them in the dash pad and doing the pre-wiring and all that fun stuff. Quick update, good news. The replacement came, and it is in fact, I don't know if you can see it, but it is the oil pressure gauge. Unlike this one's though, or I'm using an LED, I don't like it. It's a boost gauge. That's the first one that I was sent. So actually this one, it scared me too, because when I first got it, I didn't realize it was a boost gauge, and I saw the plastic hose. I'm like, oh hell no. I wanted a sensor type, you know, and that's what I read on the site. So I was like, what the heck is that? Yeah, we're back on track. We've got the pressure gauge. So next step, I still got to work on the dash. I got to get the skulls on it and get it painted and all that stuff. So we're good to go. Alright, time to do the gauge installs. I decided I'm not going to wet sand or re-clear. Like I said, it's not a show car. So I'm doing this harness, which it's a good thing I did tape it, because I wouldn't be able to see the colors. Alright, all tapes off. Let's do the install. See how this is going to be. I can imagine it's going to be fun. I still have to cut the screws too. Alright, so the first gauge is going to be the oil. So oil pressure. This is the one that I'm going to have a problem with, because it has this, which I'm assuming that would be just power ignition on, sensor wire ground. So I'm debating if I should cut this or not, or try to run it underneath the dash. Let me see if I can get it under here. This won't fit in between the dash. And it doesn't give you in the diagram what these three are, which really sucks. Let me go check. I'm gonna go check the car and see if this will fit. This is kind of thick. I don't know if that'll fit between the pillar and the dash. Let me go check that before I go any further. Alright, so plans changed. I'm gonna start with the temp gauge. I'm charging my jump box. I'm gonna have to do some testing on the oil pressure sensor. The black wire doesn't concern me. That's a ground. I already know that. The white wire doesn't concern me. That's the sending wire. I already know that. The red wire is the confusion, because I haven't seen a red go to a sensor normally, so, which is usually a ignition power. So I'm gonna need to what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook the gauge up to my jump box and take my meter and double check and make sure that that is an actual ignition wire. If it is, then that's not a big deal. Then I can cut that harness, because I looked, there's no way I can get it to fit. The gap between the dash and the pillar, it's not big enough for that, even the small plug, so it won't work. Even on the passenger side, which has a bigger gap, it's not gonna work. So that would lead me to have to drill a hole, which I do not want to do. So let's see if this will fit. Looks like it's going to. It's hard to tell. I was thinking I'm gonna have to take a Dremel, which, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to. I don't want to, but let's see if I can get it to fit. It might be a real tight one. Yeah, it'll fit. Okay. Tight. I was worried because with all the clear coating, I was worried about the fitment being a little off. Now, the fun part is getting this straight. I think that's it right there. Looks pretty good. So now, I'm hoping, since it's recessed going the other way around here, that the bracket's going to work. Because that's the other doubt I have, is the bracket working. Looks right. Okay, so now let's flip this baby over and then see about putting these on here. This is where I think it's going to have a problem. Yep. So I was right. So as you can see, maybe there's not enough stud sticking out. So what I'm going to have to do is cut this. I had a feeling I was going to do that. It sucks, but bummer. So, because even if I try to screw this out, it's not enough. Because you got a washer, you're gonna have to use the washer. Well, you're gonna definitely want to, and you want to use the nut. So, yeah, it's not enough. I need to cut about a 1/4 inch off. Yeah. So I'm gonna go. I ain't gonna show it on video. Simple. I'm just gonna cut a 1/4 inch off here with the Dremel, or cut off wheel for now. Then we'll come back. I'm gonna do it to the two that I have out. I have to move the wagon and pull the dash apart and to get the other gauge out. So it's gonna be a little bit before I get that done. So let me work on these two first. The gauge in the car is a simple one. It actually has no wires that are going to leave here. It's the voltage gauge, so amperage voltage. That one's a real simple one. So that'll be easy peasy. Let me go cut these and I'll be back. I decided to temporarily put the oil gauge in. We'll see here. Because I can get to the plug to push it in. Like I said, though, I'm still going to test the gauge and see what's actually going on. So it's going to be simple. I mean, you got the yellow's constant power and red, and then ground. So the orange you can ignore. That's just that has to have a positive switch, accessory switch, not a dimmer. The accessory switch, when the power goes to that, that's what dims. That's what that second red wire that I ran in the harness is for. That's going to go to the old school knob that's on the dash right now. That will go to that red wire, which all these orange from each gauge will just connect to that, so it'll dim them all. So that was the extra wire that I added in the harness back earlier in the video. Was this one here, because I knew I was going to need that dim. Well, I don't know if I need it, but being at its eye level, it's good to have just in case. So should be pretty simple. So now I'll be running the brown, yellow for the oil, blue's the temp sending unit, and then I don't know what I did with the white. I don't really need the white, so I might have an extra wire here, unless I'm forgetting about something. I might be, but there's only one sending wire for each gauge, so there's just one for the oil, one for the temp. Yep, but my charger is at 1 bar. I got it plugged in right now, the jump box. So waiting on that. I'm gonna let that charge up and then we'll test. So then I got all the wires over here. These will be fun. I got to fish these through. Yeah, that'll be the funnest part, is getting this in between the pillars to get it in place. And before that, I have to slowly feed all these wires at the same time flat, because it's enough room that if they're flat, it'll slide between the gaps. So I got to slide all these in first and then drop the dash in. That'll be hilarious. So it's really cool. This is like a factory indent right here, a little bit, but this one has the number 7. Look at that. I didn't do that. That's factory. I don't know what that's about. Hopefully it's lucky, because this car has not been lucky. But there we go. But that's the gauges. That's how they look. It's me looking real clean, just like I like it. So, yeah. I'm sure I'll get in the car and I'll be like, oh, that's crooked. You know, that'll be my luck. But it's really hard for me to, like, I don't know, for some reason, like, I wish there was a mark on these visors that tells you where the center is. That would have been a lot easier, because, like, even though every time you look at a different angle, it looks like it's crooked, but get them all the same. So like I said, while I'm waiting for that thing to charge, I'm gonna go move the wagon, and I gotta take apart the dash to pull the amp gauge out that we're using right here. And then I'll jump off the car, get all this wired before I go back in the car and mess with all that wiring. So I don't know I'm pretty sure I showed it in a video, but it's all just temporarily in there, so it's trash. The wires are everywhere. So this is why I did that, is I knew in the near future I was going to be changing all the gauges anyway. So that's how it is. There's that. America. I'm gonna clean it all up. First up, oil gauge. We're going in that little port back there, and I'm gonna probably block the whole view with my hands. Shut up. Damn bird.
You talking to me or the bird?
Goes. And time for the wiring. I'll do a couple of them now, just for. I'm still waiting on that thing to charge. So basically, I'm gonna put all the reds together, all the yellows together, and all the blacks together, and all the oranges together. We'll do them all. Yep. So it's good having both strippers. This one, I like it because it takes all the guesswork out. On this one, I've used the longest. This one does good. I still like this one. You can see the difference in size. Just takes less space than this, but this one's nice because it'll do these angel hair wires, little thin suckers. The other one won't do it. But you can do these with your finger now. So this amp gauge is an easy one. So for me, there's no need to solder, shrink tube, really nothing. It's in the dash. With all these wires, it's going to be tucked in there where it really can't move. So to me, there's absolutely no need to do anything else to them. On top of that, it's going to be a lot harder. It's going to be doable, but it's going to be a lot harder switching one of these gauges out when the dash is in the car. Now, what's nice is this is a good distance from the windshield, so you will be able to get your hand in a socket in there, but it's still not going to be fun at all, and you definitely are not going to be able to see what you're doing. Let's see, we don't want to do those. Let's do the grounds. So I'm pretty sure the gauge it's going to put out the positive and negative for the sending unit, which to me is still extremely odd that the ground, I know it has the temperature gauge has the same, which I actually like that. That's a huge improvement actually for me. If you've been working on cars long enough, especially the water temp sensor, if you're using the side block one, there's been a lot of people you would run Teflon tape, and what would happen is it would literally break the contact from the threads to the block somehow, and it would malfunction. It wouldn't get a reading. And a lot of that's due with thread sealer that you have on that pipe thread fitting that you got going into the block. What's nice is having the ground wire doesn't rely on the threads whatsoever. So to me, that's a huge one. Okay, so I got this one. All right, let me hook this up, the sending unit, and then we'll test these wires and see, because if I'm correct, if the gauge puts out power and if this is ground and power through the gauge, then I can bypass those and just use the single one, and then I can run the power underneath the dash to the sensor, so then I can avert not having to run this cable inside this dash pad that I didn't design to fit. Let me try to get this in here. It's going to be kind of a pain because I can't really see. Low pressure. This one would have been a lot better if it was the center gauge, but I have them in order of how I like to rate the importance of it. The first one I want to be able to see is the oil. Okay, I just got it in. Just got to get it to click. I can just get my fingernail in there somehow. There it is. Click. Okay, so that can stay in there too, because what I'll end up doing is just cutting it, stripping it, and then just tape off the red and black, and then use the sending wire, send it through, and then give it power on the other side. So here's the plug for the sending unit, which it was earlier in this video. I installed that, so I'll have to probe that. I'm going to try something here. I'll turn the ohm meter on and see if the ground's loop. Let's see here, maybe this one. Okay. Where's the... It's up here. That's the one I need. So, yeah, look at the ground. The gauge is... the gauge is no power or nothing. The ground is going straight around, so that tells me right there I don't have to worry about the ground. Let me try the positive. Let's see if that works. Let's see if the positive loops around. Yeah, that's this one. So if it gives me a ringy dingy, that means it's a through circuit. So it's not a through circuit. It's not like the ground. So when the gauge turns on, I'm willing to bet it'll send power. Okay. So, okay, now what we're gonna do is hook the jump box to it, and then do the same check. We're gonna see if when the gauge is powered on, I actually got to put a wire on that one too. Yeah. When the gauge powers on, it should power on the positive side as well. So gotta make these jumper wires down since I already crimped them. Oops. Cost me more work. Let's get that in there. Because we need to power that up. So we need this one. This one. There we go. So now we got one. We got the positive and we got the negative. And then we got our test here. So let me go get the jump box. And we'll go from there. I wish the diagram would tell you, but there's no information at all. So it's kind of like the tack light. There was no information on that, the 2-pin plug, which I verified that is the external tack light. But yeah, we'll get that going. Get these. I might cut these back so they're all even. I guess could do that. Let me get the battery. Okay, I got it wired up, powered on. Houston, we have a problem. It's 5 volts on that. So, yeah. Off, on. Yep. So that sucks. So sending us 5-volt signal. That means I have to use that harness. So, that sucks. That just changed the game. So now I need to run this in the dash. I'm gonna have to think of a way to do it because the problem is the plug in that this thick wire won't fit through. So I'm gonna have to make them individual 3 wires. So I'll have to just kind of cut it from here, then make a jumper that goes through here, through the dash, the bottom, and then reconnect it to this. That's what I'm gonna have to do. Bummer. So I did verify the ground's not switched, so it's without even having the power hooked up. It was a completed circuit, so that will make this very easy for the ground. So now that's in the harness. Yep. So the ground circuit now complete. 100%, so that's nice. Now we just got these two, which are the oil sending unit. So I'll have to just run one wire because I already have the oil sending wire right here. So let me hook that up. I don't have to run that, luckily. So being this size wire, I cut it twice as long. Just take my thumb in the middle, pinch it, kind of fold it over so you got it like that, and pull all the way. It makes it fit better in these red butt connectors. More of a snug fit. Okay. So this one will be hooked up to here. This is the sending unit wire. Okay. And then all we have left, we'll hook the lights up. This one here. I need the orange. This is one of those, you get it all together, you just pray it works, because yeah, taking it all back apart would suck. So that's a standalone red wire, which we're using for that light. So we got the grounds. We got ignitions. Okay, so all I need is the sending unit for the water temp, which is, we're going to use blue. Now that leaves one wire I got to run. That's it. That'll be this guy here. So guess I'll use a red wire, I guess, on that. Or should I use white? I'll use red. So now we're gonna have two single reds, so I gotta make sure I don't get those mixed up, or it cause a big problem. And then put the back cap on, and then attempt to get the dash in. I really need a second hand, but so the good part is this wire, this third red wire, which it's not a problem with the one of them, the red and black that are literally together. This is a combo wire, so that's not an issue. It also doesn't have the black writing on it, but this other one, the nice part is the way I ran this one, it's on one side of all the wires. So it's like over here. So I'm going to put this other one on this right side. And I already made a schematics of how I'm going to run that. So what we're going to do now is attempt to flip this over. And then I'm going to run hot glue. Oh, you're about able to see this, but I'm going to glue this in. I don't know if you can see this or not. Maybe right there. You can kind of see it. So what I'm going to do is lay it in here next to this channel. It's still going to be lower than the pad, so we're good. So they need it to be kind of over here. So we'll lay it across like that. That's what I'll do. Because it needs to be on this end, the opposite end of the other red wire. So that'll work. So it paid off of making this. When I ripped it all, it's kind of extra wide. So this wire is laying below this lip here, which is key. That's what wraps around the dash right there. So it's not that big of a deal. It's not like this thing's going to move at all. It's got all these points here, so where it screws on there. But so they all come out like that. It's the one we just added. It's next to the blue. Here's the other single red wire here. So being on opposite ends shouldn't be too bad now. It's just temporary to get it ran and back into the harness, so should work. Next step is I put together the gauge panel. Now I got to take it back apart because it's easier to get these guys here with that out of the way. I can reach up in there, but we'll get to that. Next up, we carry it over. I'm probably going to put some tape on the pillars and maybe some tape around these, or I'll put something on these, because one of them, I think it was this one of these I had things on. I thought these were going to be the worst. They're in the back. One of these did scratch the dash, so I want to try to keep it from doing that when I'm moving it in. Just kind of got to slide in and then down. So let's get that. There it goes. Beautiful.
So you thought you'd start by committing a crime?
This is my money. I don't know.
Okay.
No, I don't understand.
Put this together. Cap. Showed all my fingerprints all over it. Good news is installed. Got the this was the temp sensor ran, or no, this is the oil. The temp sensor, I have to find the wire. It already has one. It's just using the same one. Let me get to that. I'm not gonna really record a lot of that. So I hooked up, nice and clean. Everything's good. Moment of truth. That's not good. Already got a problem. That sucks. None of those are on. Yep. So back to the drawing board. That one's on. Let's make sure. Yep. So I have no top gauges. Lovely. Back to the drawing board. Alright, round two. Yeah. Good to go. Well, this camera does not like those LED dimmer. guys can't see it. If we'll do it up close. Kind of see it in the camera, but it's not gonna like the LEDs. But we are 100%. Voltage is a little on the low side. Let me get this on the charger. There you go. That's GlowShift gauges. Good to go.